When I got into this unit, I soon realized that I've seen one of these before, and I didn't like it. It's a Panasonic Portable DAT machine, their so-called HD or heavy-duty model, and it's an absolute piece of junk. Now, the last one, I kind of walked away from it because the pinch roller was falling apart, and it had a bunch of bad caps in it, and this one is in not much better shape. Let's check it out. We're going to look at that Panasonic Portable DAT, the SV255. It says HD. Don't let the HD fool you. It does not mean high definition. It means heavy duty. So if you remember when I plugged this in the other day, it didn't seem to do much. I'll refresh your memory of what it did. Got power. And somewhere on here this plugs in. Right there. Oh, look, you can switch it between stereo and mono for the microphone. You can plug one microphone in and put it in stereo or mono, and it will put it on both channels. Or you've got stereo with a mic limiter on and stereo with a mic limiter off. Mic and line input, because this can switch between either one, but you still have to use XLR connectors. Does it have any? Has a digital output on the back, but does not have digital input. Interesting. And battery compartment on the back. We're going to just see what this does first of all, and then I'm going to open it up and see what's wrong with it, see if we can fix it. I got it for free, so I hear it trying to do something, and then it doesn't do anything. And just to stop, clear button flashes here. Alright, so first things first, let's open it up and see what it's doing, or see what it looks like inside. Of course, it doesn't use regular screws. No, this one's using special screws, which we need to use the special screwdriver for. This has got, at least these ones are, to be, they're not Torx, they look like the little hex bits. So let's try this one. Is that the one? Yeah, that's the one there. Okay, we'll just get my little cordless driver out. And unscrew these two screws that hold the tape door on. Okay. Now let's observe what goes on when I try to power it up and see if the guides move. Head drum is right there. Okay, the guides move back. I see the head drum spinning, which is a good sign. And I see the guides were trying to move. We'll turn it on. And they're stopping. They're sticking. Okay. Let's let this eject. Or let this release the tape. I wonder if I press eject, whether it'll open. Ah! And just like that, it opens up. Alright, now, we need to see why this is not threading. I kind of get the sneaking suspicion that it's going to be capacitors in this one. And the reason I say that is because the drum is trying to turn on its own, but it's trying to turn even when it's just sitting there. The drum should not be spinning at this point, but it is, and it's kind of pulsating. You see? Look at when I touch it with my finger. Can you see what it's doing? If I try to stop it, it just goes back and forth. So I get the sneaking suspicion that this is full of bad caps, which is par for the course for Panasonic DAT machines. This was built in the era of the bad caps, like all these machines of this era were. I'm curious as to who made the capacitors for this. They're probably Panasonic's own caps. They made surface mounted cap back in the day. Okay, that should take the top off, I think. Indeed, it does come off. What do we have here? We have something that's very ugly. And there is ugly caps. I can see them. I can see some right down there on the bottom. Yeah, my favorite. This is my deck, so I like to try to get it to run. Guaranteed to be just as much fun as the Sony the other day. Although it's going to have even more densely packed boards in it with more parts. But I can be assured that it's going to be just as much fun to work on this one. I get the sneaking suspicion that there are screws that go down from the top that hold that bottom cover on. I don't know why I get that feeling. Have I opened one of these before? Maybe I have. I don't think I've worked on this one before, but maybe I have worked on one of these things. But I just get this sneaking suspicion that there are screws that go down from the top that hold that bottom cover on. I'm very close to walking away from this thing. I remember I had one of these things before. I had one of these things earlier in the year, maybe 6 or 8, 10 months ago. I forget, but I remember having one. There are screws down under here. Besides the screws under the chassis here, there are more screws that hold that bottom cover on. I think that I'm just going to, this being my machine, I'm not in love with DAT that much to want to work on something like this. I wouldn't work on it for a customer. Why would I do it for myself? I know, for the challenge, right? But what am I going to do with this thing? These things aren't worth anything. Sell this thing and get $50 for it. I can hear the people now saying, "Oh, I sold a DAT for $1,000." Well, not around here you wouldn't, because people aren't that stupid. In my neck of the woods, people know what this stuff is worth. And it isn't. I fully expect that I won't be doing much more repair work crossing the border, because with Trump now saying he's going to put a tariff of 20% or 25% on everything that crosses the border, I'm fully expecting that he's going to be doing that on repairs as well. And that means that I won't be doing much work. Because if people have to pay extra 25% tax to get their repaired item back, I have a sneaking suspicion that nobody's going to be fixing anything. I can see the screw down there, I just can't get it. I don't even know how the hell they put this together like this. I remember I had one of these nightmares before, and they said there was a screw down there, and then there's the 2 screws there, and I've now got the bottom off of it here. Now these caps aren't going to be the ones that are going bad, but there's some on the other side of that board that I did see that are definitely going to be bad. Those stupid surface-mounted electrolytics. I wonder how this board lifts out, if it does. Probably doesn't. It looks like they're on the main board here, but how the hell do I get this thing out? It's like this was never designed. Like, never designed to be removed. See, if a Sony engineer ever made something like this, they'd be fired. Oh, wait a minute. Sony did make stuff that was just as bad. I take that back. But that looks like it's another board, you know? Like there's a second circuit board, and the ones after are going to be on that board. So what the hell? Does this whole transport looks like it lifts out? Well, what holds it in place? There's got to be screws. It should unplug right here. If I undo these connectors, this transport should unplug. Like that. See, that comes off, as does this one. And I'm thinking that this entire transport lifts out. The other one that I had, that I didn't fix, that was sent up to me, that wasn't repaired, was because the pinch roller was shot on it. But the pinch roller on this one is not falling apart like the other one was. So I'm curious as to this transport should lift out of here. What is holding it? Oh, there's a screw back. There's a couple screws back here. I wonder if these two screws will remove the transport. Wouldn't that be something? If I just remove a couple screws and the transport lifts out, then I might have some luck. Now, will this lift out? The part's loose now. This whole transport is loose. It should lift all out. This whole thing should lift out in one piece. It's unplugged. What else is holding it? There's a screw through here. I don't know if that's holding it, but we'll take it out. And they have another screw here. I wonder if it's these screws. I bet it's these screws. Is there any more? I just dropped that one. This should lift out. This whole transport is loose. It should just lift right out. Wonder if this screw has to come out on the back here. Okay, that's got this back loose. One more screw over here, maybe. Okay, that back piece is loose. This whole transport should just lift out. Something's holding it up. Can't be this. Or can it? Maybe these screws on the front. That's going to come out now, I think. I think this will lift out. And then the transport should lift out as well. Take the knob off. What else is holding this up? Okay, now this should lift off. Okay, that lifts off. Now, will this transport lift out? It's plugged in. There's a plug here that's in. Ah, look at that. Is there another plug over here by chance? wire back here. Well, it broke off. It's soldered in place. But that wire, wherever it went, right there, the ground wire was holding it in place. Okay. I got this out now. Now I'll lift out this little circuit board, undo these clips. And these are marked with screws. Those are screws. Little plastic screws that hold this circuit board in place. That should just... What else is holding? Oh, another little clip over here. Better take this one out. Undo that, and voila. Oh, look at that. Yummy yummy are my favorites. Little surface mounted caps, I wonder which ones are bad. Probably all of them, but there's not that many. Shall we measure them? I think we need to. We'll use the little bridge tweezers on here and see what ones are bad. Well, it's measuring 22, but the 11 ohms is a 47 at 4 volts, and it's bad. It's open. 0.6 microfarads. So 22 is measuring at 0.07 nanofarads. That's low. This one's a 220. Yeah, these are all bad. Yeah. I do have enough room, I think, to mount some caps in here, so maybe we'll change these out. Because I should have some caps that I can put in here. And we'll see if we can get this thing to work. I'm going to use my fancy tongs on these ones and give them a try, see how they work. And they make short work of removing some of these tiny little caps to get in here. I haven't decided whether I'm going to replace all of them or just the ones that are bad. These 3 so far are ones that are bad and leaking. A lot of the other ones test okay with my little tongs, my little tweezer meters. This is another one over here that's bad, but these other ones here, a lot of them measure are not too bad. So I haven't decided whether I'm going to change them or not yet. This is a 47 at 4 volts. The problem I've got is most of my caps are too big to fit in here neatly. These others are measuring fairly close to being in spec. This 47 here is open. This is going to be a tough one to get to with the tweezers. I'm just going to cut this one out if I can. Cut it and pull it. Not a lot of room on this board to work. So that one was another 47. We'll try it with just those 4 and see whether it works. Well, we'll see if this works or not. I'm not holding my breath because there's no room to put regular capacitors on this board, and I've had to bend some of them to make the board kind of go back into position. There's just no room. You have to use surface mounted caps because there's just no room to put in regular. I don't have any low profile leaded caps, and I don't have any surface mounted caps. Yeah, I could get some surface mounted, but they're not cheap. They're actually quite expensive by comparison, and they're hard to work with. And there's no room on this board to even mount the stupid things. But I'll just put these ones in. Like I say, I got them kind of shoehorned in. I'll try to drop this thing in and see if it will actually work. And maybe we'll get lucky and it will actually do something. I should be able to plug all the connectors back in, and hopefully it's going to fit. As you can see, I've had to stand some parts up on their side here just to try to make things fit. Since this is my machine, it's no biggie if it doesn't work. And if this was a customer's machine, I would have advised them to just walk away. I don't even like it when people say, I don't care how much it costs, I want it fixed, because I don't think that that's fair to anybody. You to try to keep some of this old stuff working, it's just not worth it, and it should be they should be just retired basically. Okay, this fits in here like this, and it plugs into this plug down here. Now once I get these plugs in place, I should be able to test this machine and see if it will turn on. But let's just try to get a few screws in and see what happens. I may be able to power it up at this state once I get these two plugs in. I think everything's connected that needs to be connected. Yes, I'm listening to the hockey game. Hopefully the sound won't get me clipped for anything. I'm not showing it, I just got it kind of playing in the background. I'm kind of watching what's going on. We're beating Boston. Alright, let's see whether this thing powers up. Does it power? It's got power. Where's the eject button on this thing? One of these buttons is eject. It's this one. Let's just see whether this thing's going to load the tape up. Well, it moved. That doesn't want to load. Is it gummed up? There we go. Now it's loaded. You know what? I bet you it's the capacitor that's sticking in there is too big, and it's jamming it. I bet you that's what's happening. Yeah, I bet you one of those caps is sticking up a little too much, and it's causing it to stick. I bet you that's what the fault is that it's going to need those surface mounted caps, which I don't have. I don't know that I'm going to go bother to get them. Alright, I'm just going to forget it. You know, maybe we'll visit this again some other day, and I'll get some surface mounted caps, but I'm sure that's all it's going to need is the surface mounted caps replaced. I tried to go with conventional ones, the lowest profile that I had, but obviously they're a little too tall and they're causing something to stick. But it's not like this is something this is the deck that I actually really need. It'd be kind of cool to get it working, but I don't know that I want to spend a lot of time and a lot of money on it, because after all it is just a Panasonic DAT. It's in very good condition. Maybe someday we'll take this down and spend some more time on it. So it was given to me in broken condition. You know, you can have it type of thing. And well, we know where the problem is. It's just that I don't have the parts to fix it. I've got just conventional parts, and even though I've got them, I've tried to put them in as best I could to try to get them to lie flat. It's obvious that one of them is touching something, I think, and causing it to not load. As I mentioned before, though, this is an engineering nightmare. This one, you got to unsolder wires to take it apart. You got to take off this digital connector at the back, undo the wires for that to take the back off. I mean, it's like, who dreams up this crap? Panasonic, that's who. What was their slogan? Slightly behind our times? Well, at least that's what it seems. I think their slogan was slightly ahead of our time, but when I see crap like this, I don't tend to agree with that. So I'm just going to throw this one back together. Let's see how quick I can throw this thing together now that I've taken it apart. And just shelve it. Because whether I ever get around to fixing this or not, again, I guess it depends on how desperate I am for a DAT machine. But I've got plenty of other machines. I've got plenty of Sonys. I've got plenty of Tascam machines. Machines that are actually designed to be serviced and you know, I mean, the Tascam ones were all well-built machines that were designed to be serviced. Real professional machines designed to be serviced. The DA30 and the DA40 was what I'm referring to, which I've got 2 DA40s and a DA30, and I've got several Sonys, and I've got an SV255, although it needs some parts, but it works. Got rid of my SV3500. I got rid of my my TAC or the DA20s. I got rid of those. Now there's this ground wire that has to get solved. You see what I mean? You gotta start undoing wires before you can take this thing apart. What joke? I'm just putting everything back the way it was, just so that if I ever get on this thing again, at least it will be complete. Anyway, I'm not going to put all the screws back in that went in through from the top. I mean, who does that? Who puts screws in from the top that have to go through? You know, there was like 4 of them. There was one here, and there was 2 more over here, and then one that goes through from this side. This is just nonsense, this. And of course the one on the front here as well. It's just a really stupid design, and I'm glad I never saw any of these when I was in the business, because I think if I had to work on these things when I was in the business, I probably would have quit. I would have said to my boss, no, I'm not doing this, I'm walking out. Which is what I did to the last one that someone wanted me to fix. The only reason why I put any time into this one today was, well, because it's my own. That was the only reason I really went the extra mile to show you guys what the inside of it looks like and how difficult it is to get at. And we know what the fault is. It's those capacitors. And I mean, in reality, they should all be changed, but I'd have to get all the original surface mounted parts. That little part I'll just stick back here. That's the spacer for the circuit board, which I couldn't put back in because one of the capacitors I put in was just a little too tall, and I had to put it in the way. But I'll throw that in there or tape it in or something for the future, in case this thing ever gets worked on again. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here now, because you guys don't need to see me be frustrated putting all the screws back in. And I'll say thanks for watching, but just remember the screws that needed to come out to take this board out were the ones, or to take the mechanism out, were these ones here. What's got me thinking is whether, no, I guess it, no, the bottom has to come off because there's screws in the bottom too. I was thinking about that, whether you could pull the board, whether you could pull the mechanism without pulling the whole thing apart, but you can't because there's a couple of extra screws that did need to come out. Anyway, I'll say thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.